Back and bigger than ever. It's the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carrie, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
All right, we are back. It is the unofficial 40 podcast from Soonerscoop.com, and the gang is all here, and I'm a little fired up today because we have everything in working order. Josh, let everyone hear your velvety tones as you are now plugged back in like a normal person, like you should be since we moved the office.
I feel like I'm back in the Matrix. I'm kind of excited about it. You know, this is me. I'm the machines are running me again, so I'm pretty excited about this.
So, yeah, we are actually doing a little this is big news. Ryan is in the control room. We're doing a little bit of a test run for him. We don't have it all hooked up correctly. We have cameras in front of us. Eddie is...
They're somewhat here. It's all starting to come together.
It's a little messy. It will be less messy. We got cords. I forgot I just left a big duffel bag sitting in front of Bob. You can put that on the floor if you want, Bob. So we're here in the office. We got Josh back in Studio B, rightly where he should be. Well, where he usually is, not where he should. He should be here in studio with us, but that's another conversation for another day. The schools aren't good enough for his kids, unfortunately, in Oklahoma. So
get it together, Oklahoma Public Schools. I'm going to tell you, I can't afford private.
With this governor, I'm telling you that. So here we are. We got Media Day coming up next week, we believe, if they ever officially
hasn't been officially announced yet.
I think
nothing
that's
officially
correct.
announced.
I was talking about it this morning, like it was officially announced.
Okay,
it's gonna be
Tuesday morning, guys.
It better
Tuesday
be next
morning.
Tuesday morning.
Yeah. So that's my faux pas for not having phone on vibrate. Yeah, I mean, all kinds of stuff going on. There's the Friday Night Lights coming up. Texas Toll Authority wants me to pay my bill.
No, Under Lights is tonight.
Or Under the Lights is tonight. Yeah, Friday. It's not Friday Night Lights.
No.
It's just Under
It's
the
kind
Lights.
of a Friday Night Lights thing, but it's on a Wednesday.
Should I go out there with my guitar and just play like, kind of like Explosions in the Sky thing?
Explosions in the Sky. That was my introduction to Explosions in the Sky.
It was most people's, yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Unless you were like a big ACL, Austin City Limits guy, then you saw them before they were real famous. But anyway, music nerd moment. Sorry. Anyway, I don't know where you guys want to start today. I mean, we're kind of all over the place. We're waiting. We're in that ready to pounce mode where we're trying to get things together. Ryan's trying to figure out what's he going to do. When Media Day gets here, practices start. We don't even know what the schedule will be like, how much we'll get to see, if it'll be kind of like the spring. Will we get 40 minutes here or there? Will Brent?
I had been told that's kind of the case.
Stuff?
I think once a week we're going to be allowed in. I think is kind of the
and it will be
preliminary plan.
And I believe, I don't know. I don't think they stick to the morning anymore. I think that was Tebow's thing last.
They
spring.
will until school starts.
Yeah, once school starts, they're back in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So school, when school starts, all that stuff.
Practice during the season officially though will be at night. It'll be during the
right
or late afternoon.
Because what happened was they made all their class schedules to keep doing morning with the old coach, and they couldn't change anything. So that's why they were doing morning spring practices. But yeah, it'll go back to afternoon stuff here when classes start. So I mean, here we are. It's kind of the same old storylines, other than it seems like NFL quarterbacks have kept us pretty busy with just things to talk about lately. But the Dylan Gabriel, era is getting ready to start.
It's watch list season. I mean, my God, Michael Turk on the Ray Guy Award watch list today.
That actually makes sense, though, compared to some of these.
Let's be honest. Who gives a shit?
Marvin Mims was released on the Bolitnikoff.
That would be nonsensical.
Yes.
That would be interesting.
No, he was not on the Bednarik, the Bolitnikoff. And outside of that, you're just waiting for Liz.
No, it's the final week before the storm is here. I think it's okay to just flat out say there's not a whole lot going on. You wrap up
with the
workouts
team,
committee.
yeah.
There's not a whole lot going on anywhere.
Well, recruiting. It's
who gives a shit. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, Josh.
I'm just kidding.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here.
There is a lot. I wish we could go cover the thing tonight. I understand that it's going to be closed. It sucks. It is what it is. But hopefully that's something that we can go to in the future.
That's my feeling. Is this was just kind of like they're trying to figure out all the little intricacies, because I don't think this is going to be a typical camp. Now, I don't claim to know exactly what that means, but I've been told a couple of times this is going to be a little unique in its presentation, I think is the way I would word it. So I think they're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, but I definitely think going forward, this is something they want to continue to do, and eventually, obviously they're going to want the Sooner Scoop monster in there with all of our cameras and, social media attention. That's never a bad thing.
And I heard they wanted to be as all day as possible. We saw the Corey Moore's already shown up, and it's not. It's just noon, but they want to make it not just a camp that happens at night. It's supposed to be a bunch of stuff that leads up to the camp. So whenever you can show up, show up.
Yeah, I haven't been told this specifically, but I think a lot of these guys, they want to have a chance for them to sit and talk with Brent for a little bit, because they're. You look over that list, it's a awesome camp list for one day. There's a lot of dudes coming in, and from all over I probably, and I don't know if Eddie gets as wound up about this as I do, but when a guy comes in from out of state, I'm like, that's a guy I don't have to travel to go see. Like he's going to be in Norman, and I can go get video, and we'll have B-roll and pictures and all the shit we need to run the site. And I'm like, crap, now I've got to go to the Atlanta Rivals camp or the Charlotte Rivals camp or whatever it may be. So that's interesting. But I really, and I talked about it a little bit in Woke, I think there's going to be at least 5 or 6 offers come out of this camp tonight.
Do you think that Brent Venables will raise the stakes and offer to buy people's babies while Jim Harbaugh is just offering to take them?
We know it's a game of one-upsmanship. I don't know what he's waiting for, really. I mean, now that we know what the...
I bet Lane Kiffin will be the first person to buy somebody's baby.
Who would be the first coach to give an abortion on the sidelines?
Okay.
Wow. I don't know, Kerry.
My guess would be Brian Kelly. He's already killed somebody.
I think Lane Kiffin's only buying boys based on his video from his daughter's shopping spree recently, which is a feeling that only fathers of girls can truly relate to the terror to come.
He's a millionaire, though. It's a little endearing because he is frugal, even though he's a millionaire.
That's how you stay a millionaire.
Yeah.
He was the subject of all those TikToks, wasn't he, from Mykonos or wherever the hell they went?
Yeah, he was there. I think because that was a big thing during the whole Jackson Dart thing. I kept hearing he was somewhere in like the Caribbean or something, just on a boat for like 2 weeks while a lot of that was going on.
He was. I know the guy whose boat he was on. I told you guys about that.
That's right.
Guy named Palmer. Yeah, Eddie and I have had dinner with him before. And then he left early.
100%.
He left early and didn't pay enough.
Well, I didn't pay anything, so I can't really pull punches.
I didn't feel like you should have to spend $400 on dinner.
Yeah, that's probably during a stage of life where I would have had to start turning tricks.
Well, it just would have cut down on your sugar strips.
That's true.
You make that sound hypothetical, Eddie, but we all know the reality.
I've got out of that game after the AIDS scare.
I can tell Eddie's like he's just been waiting for this pod for a while. He's just locked and loaded.
No, I mean I've reached a point of like no return on like just.
Is it the cameras? I mean,
no.
we're not putting this anywhere. This is just a test run.
No, I wouldn't have my hat on backwards if I knew that. It's just one of those things. It's like I've reached a point of no return of like
I'm sick of talking about it.
Sick of talking about football that hasn't happened yet.
And we won't even happen on Tuesday when we go there. Practice starts next Thursday.
I'll kill somebody when we go to local media day and the same thing is asked that was asked down in Big 12 media days.
What changed in these 2 weeks?
Too lazy to get down there.
What do you think of NIL?
I'll snap on somebody.
Soul mission.
Here's the gap between Eddie and I. I've had to spend the last month and a half talking nothing but recruiting, either talking OU fans off the ledge or trying to get them to realize that this is probably not going to be the number 1 overall class in the country. Like there's a middle ground somewhere between those two thoughts. Now, I'm like, yeah, we get to start talking some actual football and we get to talk about what the running back room's going to look like. And Eddie's been doing that for, 3 months. So
it's just, I mean, you turn on the TV today, and I was telling Carrie before we started this, it's like you turn on the TV today, and you have people on ESPN debating if Kyler Murray made a mistake signing a $260 million contract.
30.
What are we doing?
Embracing debate.
We should kill ourselves.
I mean, that's not like I don't get me wrong. I think all those shows are horrific, but I think we all understand that's not even debate. Like you're just dumb. You're just trying to create something in what I think we would all agree is the slowest month of the year in sports.
No doubt. But it also means that we're at the very end of this. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and football does start a week from tomorrow. So, I mean, technically it does begin, and I think that it will soon fill the void that we were all kind of longing for.
Guys, I'm getting excited. I'm working on my game schedule for this year, where I'm going to be. It's time for Josh to start spending some of those Sooner Scoop dollars. I'm ready. I stand ready to do this.
Well, and it has also been really good on the recruiting
act like
trail.
you never spend money, by the way.
Hey, I'm just saying the world has seen.
Broke his laptop.
I didn't break. No.
You don't know who broke it. That's the problem I have.
I know
You
it's
showed me a
broken
picture
and booty.
of a destroyed laptop, and I said, "What happened?" And your answer was, "I don't know." Are you for?
I close it and I open it. If that's breaking it, then it is exactly what I thought it was, and I never should have bought it. So
It's
no
okay
problem.
to say it. My dog grabbed it, ran off with it, and then threw it outside.
You're not my dad. I don't care to tell you. I'll tell you that if that's what happened. Nothing happened. It sits on my damn desk.
Man, this is a very touchy subject for John.
I am
guess
upset.
Are you mad at me or yourself?
Well, I'm frankly myself, because I would love to know what happened to this thing. If one of my children did something, they are pulling off the best game of their life, because neither one of them can lie for shit. And I've asked, I'm like, did you knock this off? Did you see something happen? And they're like, no, like we can't. They know they're not supposed to touch it. That only time you ever see it, they get in trouble, because Layla invariably sends out a tweet. It's just some gibberish, a bunch of letters getting pushed, and then she somehow manages to hit tweet.
It's cryptic.
So,
By the way,
yes.
I think we need to have an intervention here too. You are not a power user. Like, you do not need, like, you need to have like a Chromebook. Like, what do you need a laptop for other than writing stories?
I honestly, I think it's.
You do edit photos, so
Yeah, I'll have 150 photos open in my editor.
But you always want to get like the super duper laptop that's like even
100%.
better than Eddie's. That you don't need it for.
That is valid. Like, that is 100% valid. I am one of those people.
Faster is what I assume.
God.
That's
you
about.
can't realize
Secret's
the
up.
resolution. Pornhub has there's a special window that you get just for the.
Josh is actually running a deep fake scam, from his laptop in his house.
Again, this isn't the area to discuss how it was broken. Now if we're really going to get down to the nitty gritty, but whatever, things happen.
You and Tiff doing some home movies. Kicked it off the nightstand.
Josh is going to come up here one day and just beat the shit out of you.
I think
That could be the first Scoop HD feature. Would we put that on the monetary YouTube or just the regular
Right?
YouTube?
I was wondering.
I'm more afraid of Tiffany than I am of Josh.
I think I
That's
would
a-
be too.
That's a fair point.
She saved
That's a
somebody's
fair
life this week.
Oh, we got to talk
Yes,
about
we
this.
do.
Yes.
She did indeed. Now, I am going to be a little bit careful, because these situations are a little bit weird as far as legality.
HIPAA violation.
Yeah, there's stuff in there that's careful. What I can say is we were on vacation last week, and a lady was having very serious respiratory problems, and it was found out by some of the staff there. And we literally just happened. We weren't near the area where we had been sitting. We were at a different kind of part of the park, and we just happened to be standing there because she was about to go do something else, and I was taking the girls on a water slide or something, and we were meeting to exchange. I think one of the girls needed goggles, if I remember right, and we see the waiter kind of notice, something's wrong here. And Tiffany's got her back to it. She sees my face, turns around, and I'm not kidding you, like, didn't waste a second. Didn't say, like, stay right here or I'll be right back. Like, she just basically jumps over one of those chairs and runs over. And I can tell almost immediately from her tone, like, oh, this is real bad. Because I can't see the person really. They kind of had their head under a hat, and they were kind of at just a weird angle. And and I'm watching her for a second because I'm like, is this going to be, like, is she going to be back in a second, or is this really something? Well, and the whole time I'm sitting there, Lainey and Layla are literally at my feet, and they're taking it all in. And finally, about 15 seconds in, I'm like, gotta move the children. So we kind of go off to a separate section, and I mean, they're like, what was going on, Daddy? Why was Mommy, Mama's, helping with life-saving measures is the, like I said, the best way I can say that. And it, after it's over, she's kind of, worried, like, oh, should I have gotten involved there? And I'm like, it's a bunch of 19-year-old lifeguards. Like, yeah, you were easily that lady's best chance. And finally, she stayed until, the paramedics showed up, and of course they had her on a stretcher, and the whole, like, it was, I mean, I couldn't say if that woman survived or not. Like, but I know she wouldn't have if immediate action wasn't taken. Like, it was scary. And then
she wasn't actually revived by the time the paramedics got there.
No, she was. I don't know any other way to say it than to say it. She was vomiting. Like she was alive. She had she was, but you can't do mouth to mouth with someone who's. I mean, I don't even mean that from a gross factor. They had exactly, and and the place we were staying, they had an ambi bag, and they were pumping her with oxygen in between. But you just can't do that because their air passage is just full of vomit. There's no other way to say it. So I mean, it's gross, but it just is what it is. So like I said, lady. I mean, who knows how it turned out. But it was like, oh, okay, that's real damn serious. And then, having to explain it to the girls who of course have a million questions. My 4-year-old Layla, she's just kind of like, is she dead? And I'm like, I don't know, baby. Oh. And then Lainey's like, she's 8. She's got a lot more understanding of what she's seeing, and she's like, Daddy, why was Mommy, why did she move her head like that? And I'm like, well, baby, because she was choking. Like, it just, you don't realize how much they see and process until you're in something like that, and it's just like, holy shit. So it was, I mean, and it was our last day there, like, literally, it was Tiffany's last minutes in the park. Like, it was our last day there. She was about to go over to, actually, she was going to get like a massage or something. She was leaving the water park area, and so it was just luck of the draw that she was there because, like I said, I realize those lifeguards know basic life saving maneuvers and stuff, but they don't know anything to the stuff she knows. So it was just wild, and I rarely get to see her kind of doing her thing and in her moment, and she's telling people what to do and where to be. So it was kind of interesting.
Do you get like the hotel like comp you or the hotel should like comp you if you help save someone's life?
So, okay, here is a little bit of comedic relief. So early in the week,
I thought the whole thing was comedy.
Oh God. So early in the week, there was one of the people with us had filed a complaint with the hotel because there was something that was not up to the standard they wanted it to be.
So this is a swingers trip.
They had no.
Lainey or Layla?
Yes, Layla sending angry.
It wasn't
emails.
up to her up to snuff.
And so this person ends up emailing back and forth with the site's manager. And then as Tiffany's handing it off to the paramedics, there kind of has to be like a chain of command, for lack of a better way to say it. So they have to know who was this person that was helping. So they have to get Tiffany's information and know who she is. And of course, the on-site, people want to know as well. Well, the guy starts taking down Tiffany's name, and she's like, "Oh, you're I've been talking to let's just put it this way. I've been talking to your mother the whole time, and it's your little girl's birthday, right?" And she's like, "Yep. That's me." And so, this guy that's been fielding complaints from us it was one complaint that kind of carried on through the course of the week. I guess the conversation carried on. It was really great outside of one moment. But he's like, "Oh, yeah." I'm like, great. We're going to get sued on this deal. He's going to be like, "You should have never been there." But so far we've received no legal documentation, so I think we're going to be okay. But yeah, so the guy that we had, really probably pissed off for the better part of 48 hours was like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, it's you. You guys are in the middle of every bad thing happening in my life right now."
Well, I guess while everybody was saving lives, there was continued good news on the Oklahoma recruiting trail.
And before we
there's
get
a
to that,
segue.
let's talk about life-saving some more, or life-changing, that is. That's primeshrimp.com, ladies and gentlemen. Go check them out. They've got the code for 30% off still going. And we've all, Josh and I have had it. Bob, I don't think he can eat shrimp. I don't know the things you can eat. Hot dogs is about all I know that you can eat.
I think I would try it.
You've never had shrimp?
I've had shrimp.
Like popcorn shrimp at Long John?
I've had popcorn shrimp. I love grilled shrimp.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Nothing wrong with that.
So anyway, Josh and I both had it. It's really easy. Just go to primeshrimp.com. It's PRIME shrimp.com. Pick out whatever flavor you want or grab all four. You'll get 30% off your order just by using the promo code Scoop or Sooner Scoop. And it's good stuff, man. You get the French Quarter Alfredo. You can get their signature. You can get the Louisiana shrimp boil. And it's fantastic. Can't speak. It's only less than 10 minutes. And like Josh has said before, you're home by yourself, the wife and the kids are gone. Really easy meal to put together. So, no mess, really easy. Make some linguine with it maybe and go with the garlic and herb butter. But Sooner Scoop, use that code. You get 30% off your first purchase. And you can load up, put it in the freezer. You're good to go. Primeshrimp.com. Go check them out. All right. On the recruiting front, by the way, Bob, you've got some basketball available.
I do. I've been asking. It's here in the next hour. Porter Moser for 20 minutes as they get ready for their European trip. They'll leave August 2nd through the 12th, Barcelona and Paris, with 3 exhibition games sprinkled in between there.
I'm sorry we didn't send you.
Well, we don't know that yet. He can still go.
That's right. You just don't know. I might just be gone for the first 2 weeks of football because I'm in Europe.
I think I would probably want to know that. Yeah.
But so we'll get 20 minutes from Moser. A lot of questions to sort of answer. Grant Sherfield, Joe Bamisile waiver stuff. We obviously heard last week that
Sherfield got his, right.
Did. Let's hear Moser confirm it. And we'll go on from there. I want to ask about Ryan Humphrey, the connection there, how that all came together. So, yeah.
Surely this is going to be the best mood you've seen him in since the end of the season. NIL was just such a kick in the face for him, or just transfer portal, really.
Yeah,
more
just
than anything.
Thinking you've got guys, and then at the last second, they'll switch it all up on you. So we're at that point because they only have 12 scholarship guys. They were going to have 13 very easily, but things just kept changing at the last minute. So, yeah, you're going to feel comfortable with your roster. You just went through an entire summer of live evaluation period. They made a bunch of offers, made headway with a lot of 2023, 2024 kids, and now you're getting ready for the trip. I would agree. If Porter's not happy and content today, it's just never going to happen.
I'm just thinking I would be worried that he'd leave if he's how he was at some of the caravan stops.
Mm-hmm. Very combative. Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, Josh, you survived. That's all the basketball we're going to talk. We'll have more to talk about next week when we find out all this stuff about waivers and transfers and all that. So, Eddie, I know you were going to bring up recruiting before I stopped you. And
No, I mean,
Hey,
it was continued good news over the weekend. It was something that we had talked about and kind of almost like previewed, didn't we, last week?
Wagner?
On Friday. Yeah, Josiah Wagner. But, I mean, just to finally get it out there, it's kind of crazy to say that this class has 2 guys from Washington now.
It's unbelievable, and especially, I thought, well, okay, I've done this 20 or so years, and they've never landed a guy from Washington in my time. The history of Oklahoma football as far back, and I want to give credit, I use Sooner Stats for this breakdown and what I did for bringing back kind of the fun facts on Crimson Corner. They've had 3 players in the program's history from the state of Washington. They currently have 2 committed. That's crazy. Like, just to think about the oddity of that. And I mean, and some of it was, like Heath Ozida being a kid that grew up in Oklahoma, like there is some, good fortune in that. But Josiah Wagner is a 4-star corner from Washington. They just went up and got and beat out basically the entirety of the Pac-12. Oregon, you can argue where he kind of was in their hierarchy after they picked up a couple of other commitments, but it's a good win for Oklahoma. I don't care how you look at it, what you do. He's a guy that makes a ton of sense, as a kind of traditional nickelback. I don't know how he's going to fit because that's not always the way Brent has used that position. It's been a little more, kind of as a third linebacker, bigger safety kind of guy. So we'll see what that looks like. But, I mean, he could be used if you wanted to go 5 true DBs and play him that way. But, they keep doing good things. Now, obviously, we sit and wait for Derek LeBlanc.
You mentioned that any last 11th hour type of news that making you second guess, you still feel pretty strong the Sooners are going to be the choice come Thursday night.
I talked to his dad last week. It's really funny. We just kind of connected while while I was on vacation. But he and he said we've already recorded the video. We've done all that. And it was just so matter of fact about all of it. And he told me it's Florida and Oklahoma. I know there had been obviously Derek had mentioned Penn State as well. But I think it's been pretty obvious for a while that those were the only 2 real options in this thing. And I've heard nothing that gives me any pause. Like, I still think it's going to be Oklahoma. I've gone over his tape a few times, but haven't, I'm kind of anxious to, when that time comes, assuming it does come, get into that commit breakdown a little bit and look at his tape because he's an interesting guy, man. Like, he's not people are like, what position would he play? I'm like, well, he's not an obvious 3-tech. He's pretty big and lanky for a defensive end, but he's so big in frame. You're like, that dude's going to carry 275, 280. And I know everybody says, well, that's what they do. Well, like Clemson, Brent's DNs were 260 or 265. They weren't that regularly pushing into 280 pounds or something. So it's going to be interesting if he's one of those guys that maybe plays outside for a couple snaps, and then if they get in the 3rd and long, he slides in and plays some 3-tech. I like him because he brings a lot of flexibility. He gives them a lot of options up front, and you also wonder, like, if maybe, where he starts at in college is somewhat dependent on who else comes in this class.
You have LeBlanc. You feel like that might be it unless something happens throughout the course of this weekend where they got a lot of guys coming in. What would that mean for the month of July? Just try to encapsulate that. Yeah,
I mean, we know of 2 clear decision dates. Makari Vickers came out this week, the Rivals 100 cornerback from Tallahassee. He said he's going to announce on August 26th, which is the same day as Converse Judson wide receiver, Rivals 250 guy, Anthony Evans, is going to make his announcement. So, right now, I would pick OU for both of those guys. I think Georgia and A&M are absolutely in it for Evans. That's going to be a fight, I think, to the end. But I just like where OU is. I think he's got a really good relationship with that staff. I think his dad has really connected with that group. So there's a lot I like there. and then you throw in with Makari Vickers, it feels like an OU Alabama battle. And, he's coming up this weekend. I think that is incredibly interesting for OU to get him up at that point in time. I don't know. Like, it feels like it indicates something to me. And I'm definitely, I want to see once he gets onto campus, kind of weigh some things out. And, I talked about it in Woke. Like, I don't think a forecast for him to Oklahoma is that far off in my future.
What we're seeing with the under the lights stuff, like, is that almost like necessary the way that Brent recruits? I mean, because you're getting guys on campus, but their seasons are getting ready to start. That they can kind of help you close a little bit.
In what way? I said, I think I didn't follow.
I mean, nobody's coming on official, right? I mean, these are
no, yeah.
So just like, but his policies being that you can't commit until you've taken all your visits. Like, is this just another step, like adding another, day on the calendar closer to the season where you can kind of get that last kind of impression put in before their seasons and their camp start and things?
I think that's exactly what you're looking at, because aside from, like guys that are super local, like, I mean, and I'm not saying him, but I'm just going to use him as an example because it's an easy one. Like By Job. Obviously, By Job could go to his morning workout at Community Christian, and then should he want to, could go over to OU. Like, I mean, that is a possible thing in the not too distant future once, and again, the window's going to close for a while. Then once it opens back up, like I realize that this is not they can do that next week kind of thing. But as time goes on, there's just not much that can happen in August. There's a lot, because guys have, they're gearing up for their own seasons. They've got enough going on. And the coaches, I mean, people always act like, oh, the coaches got it. Man, they're trying to have their own season. Like, they got to get their guys ready. They're getting all their preparation going. And I think it's even more poignant for Oklahoma because this is their first year. I mean, this is the staff's first time together. They've got to figure out, what all the things that maybe we don't think about. We watch what happens on Saturday, but okay, what time are meetings going to start? Okay, what time? Like, they've got to lay all that out, like what it's going to be like on game day, and they've got to set time aside to make those schedules and to figure out what it's going to be. On a road game to West Virginia, do we leave on Thursday or Friday? Like, when do we do all that stuff? So I think they've got to assign how they want to work all that out. And that takes up time. So I think you're just going to see a little bit of a lull here. And then, like you said, kind of September, it'll all just get shot back into space a little bit, where Oklahoma really may be looking at, 5, 6 more real top targets that they are zeroed in on over the course of the next, 3 or 4 months.
Josh, I got a little bit ahead of myself, started going to Vickers and Evans. I want to circle back LeBlanc. His ranking across the board is there's a lot of, sometimes you think it's a group think and guys start to all be ranked around the same number across the 4 sites. LeBlanc, he obviously is not that. Is he closer to a 5-star, or is he closer to someone that doesn't deserve inclusion in the 250?
Oh, he's absolutely a 250 guy for me. I mean, I know, I guess I'm supposed to push the company line and all that kind of stuff. And, and when I agree with it, I certainly do. But to me, there was, and I can't remember if it was 24/7 or On 3. Somebody had him at like number 17 overall in the country. That's a little rich for my blood. Like, and I like the kid, but I don't have him there. That's a little extreme. Looking around, I've seen, I think 24/7 has him in the top 70. On 3 has him somewhere around 150. And we've got him outside of the 250 as a whole. I'm saying probably 75 to 150. I think, because you guys know me, I like to live in ranges because it's going to come down to a lot of things. Like, the guy who has the final say likes this about him more than that guy, or maybe there's some guys in his area that caught their attention, or they didn't have a chance to see him, live, whatever it could be. There's a million reasons that are completely understandable. But so I kind of like to live in a range. To me, he's about a 75 to 150 guy. And I'm fine with him being anywhere in there. And I think that's fine. Now, and I know Rivals, people listening will say, well, Josh, you work for Rivals. Why don't you get him pushed up? I've never seen Derek LeBlanc in person. I don't really have a leg to stand on because I'm watching the same tape our guys are. And I know some of our guys have seen him in person. So I'm hopeful to get to see him this year, and I can come back and be like, I like this and this and this. And because or maybe I'll feel differently and I'll feel like we've got him right, and that's fine too. But if I feel like he needs to move up, I'll certainly send it in. And as I'm a guy that doesn't do that very often, it usually has at least some weight it carries with Rivals guys. So hopefully that'll mean something when it comes down to it. But again, I've got to see the guy. We don't know. And I'm anxious to see the body type as much as anything because he is a really interesting guy on tape where he's listed at like 260 pounds. And you look at him and you're like, he's all arms and legs. Like, I don't understand how he's that big. So I really want to, kind of see him and see if he's unique, as unique as I think he is.
It's really kind of funny because I think during the middle of June, everybody was freaking out about I think they would just take commitments just to take them, just to have that sense of okay, everybody wants to jump onto this. But now that they've been on this run throughout the month of July, everybody looks up and now you start thinking he's in the top 10. How good can this class be? Then you start talking about, well, when the rankings get redone in August or mid-August, these guys are going to make a jump. But I guess that's kind of my way of getting to the question that I think a lot of people on the board have asked. I'm sure that you've answered it time and time again is, when do you think that they will look at re-ranking guys? It's mid-August. Is that kind of loosely what we're looking at? And then also, who are those guys that have really good arguments or cases to be made as far as maybe a Jackson Arnold, obviously what he's done this summer, Derek LeBlanc, and the example that you just laid out. It's just kind of funny. It's how people just wanted immediate gratification commitments, and now it's well, wait a second, could this be a top 5 class?
And it's one of those things where I know people sometimes get frustrated with Rivals because I think 24/7 and on 3, I'm torn because I like that they do a lot more updates. There's a part of me that likes that, but I also think it tends to create a little bit of reactionary stuff where you get oh, this guy was great, we loved him, and then
how are you going to have a guy jump for this but not jump for this? You know what I mean? How's this camp more important than this camp?
Exactly.
Sorry, I cut you off, but I know.
No.
That's true.
You're fine. I agree, and I think. Once, I like that Rivals does it kind of as periods close, spring evaluation period closes. Okay, update. Because a bunch of people, including myself and others, they've got a chance to send in information. I send it into Adam Gorney and Nick Harris and, anybody that's pertinent to the player I'm talking about. I'm like, hey, this is what I saw. This would be my thought on where he should be. This is where I would have him ranked. And then, and sometimes they're like, yeah, we were making that move, or, oh, okay, that's really different than what we saw. Let's talk about that. It can go a lot of different ways, and sometimes it amounts to nothing, but you just want to weigh in on what you do have. And what Rivals is doing now is they're waiting for all this summer stuff to be done where, you've got camps like Oklahoma's, which, like I said, it's unfortunate that we can't be there and be like, hey, this guy was great. This guy was great. We can't really weigh in on that stuff. But there's still guys from the summer camp, from the June camps there's been no update. So we can go back and talk about, this guy was outstanding. This, Michael Van Buren is a great example of a guy that was like, wow, that dude's really, really something. And we can kind of, give some input on that and where we think guys should be. So, to get back to the original thing, that's part of what I like about Rivals is it's a little more of okay, we've summed this up. The summer's done, here's our next update. Rather than, okay, well, he was great at the 7-on-7 in Vegas. Well, okay, now he wasn't as good here. Now, so you just got him yo-yoing all the time, jumping all over the place, rather than over the course of the summer, he was the best quarterback, or over the course of the summer, he was a third best guy we saw in the 3 times we saw him, whatever it may be. I just feel like it's a little more of a complete picture, and I know that forces people to be patient. And I know that drives him crazy. But to wrap all of it up, the guys I'm definitely going to put in my thoughts on, hey, this guy probably needs to make a move, or Caleb Hicks. And I haven't seen Caleb, but I just love his tape. I think we've got him undervalued. Keon Brown, who I have seen in person, I'm one of the few I think that has, and I'm gonna, he is a 250 kid to me. What we saw in Norman, even in the very limited clips, that's one of the better receivers I've seen at OU in many summers. So no problem. I'm all in on him making a move. Jackson Arnold, I don't really have the case to make. I wasn't at Elite 11, but dude took home the MVP. I don't think it's a real hard argument to make for him making that 5-star move. And I think it will happen. I know a lot of people read Adam Gorney and Nick Harris's Fact or Fiction, I think earlier this week. And they were like, well, Gorney's argument's not very good. I think Gorney knew his argument wasn't very good. If I know Adam, he's a smart guy. I think he knew that he didn't have a great leg to stand on.
He let Ryan win, basically.
Yeah, that was kind of my feeling, and I will say I've done multiple of those Fact or Fiction things with rivals for years, and they've never told me to argue a side as we talk about, embrace debate early in the pod. I've never been told that, but that's what it felt like to me, because it was like, yeah, he was really good at Elite 11, but the 7-on-7 he kind of struggled. And Nick's like, we've seen lots of guys struggle in 7-on-7 and become, elite quarterbacks. So you're like, what do I make of that? Is that a big, I'm trying to remember if Kyler Murray even took part in 7-on-7.
Probably didn't, because he was playing baseball most of the time.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think so. I definitely don't think so. And that's, and that's been part of Jackson's deal. He's got baseball going on too. So, I think there's just some interesting things to have to weigh out a little bit. And, but no, I like those three to make moves. I think some others could in time. Samuel Omasigo is another guy that I just want to see him in person. Once I've seen that, I have almost no doubt that I'm going to be like, we've got him entirely too low. Guys that big and long and athletic, man, those guys become players. And the thing is, I can't use the argument of, well, he's going to go play for Brent Venables and play linebacker. That should be the trump card, but you can't do that with rankings, because they move him up and then all of a sudden, whatever happens and he doesn't end up at Oklahoma. And they're like, well, we're dropping him because he didn't commit to Oklahoma. That sentence is not going to go over well with the school he ended up at. So you can't do it like that. But he's definitely a guy I think will make a move over the course of the year.
Josh, I think we should hire a guy whose only job is to re-rank the top 100 every day.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Just find a reason.
Didn't use a blinker when he was turning into his high school. We drop him down 3 spots.
You could
weight room video.
Sadly, there's probably a market for that.
Instagram.
There is probably a market.
Whether he would do a Zoom with you or not.
That's right.
Drop.
Well, I mean, even people that would say, well, you could do that. Did you see Lewis Carter throwing up 405, bro? Nope, Lewis Carter didn't become a better player because he can throw up 405. That's not the way that works. But
you're ruining this for everybody.
No, there's absolutely a huge amount of people that would love to do that, or love to do it, love to read it, love for us to do something like that. But the narratives, the reasonings behind it. Did you see him run the ladder drill? That was incredible. He didn't have a ball in his hand.
I think you would get people you would get people submitting just workout videos for you. There you go. You wanted to move up
100%.
But that wouldn't be hard work being done in the dark then.
Yeah, that'd be.
If they move up too high, they fall down on OU's list because they're doing too much sucking up.
What are you doing working out in the sunlight? Man, for shame.
Yeah, they could. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities there. I could see Kyler Murray and Lee Morris just going out to watch a 7-on-7 and just being like, we're too good for this.
Or just any of the Allen guys in general.
Yeah.
Just we're not doing this.
Yeah. We don't have to do this. We play for.
Actually, I think Allen does have a pretty good team, don't they?
What's that? Allen?
Yeah.
You mean in 7-on stuff?
Yes.
I don't honestly know. Because I don't remember.
I guess this just shows you how little I pay attention to the 7-on stuff.
Absolutely.
it does seem like the really good, strong football programs, and maybe it's because they're just so good up front in the offensive and defensive line, but it doesn't seem like those teams ever are like the elite 7
The ones that are really good.
Yeah, it's like the 7-on teams that are really, really good. It's like, okay, who the hell are they? They never make it past the first round of the playoffs. That is without any evidence. I have no idea.
That is a hypothetical out of thin air.
But I'm going to believe
that is a first take right there.
100%.
Perfect example.
You've
Katie.
just been
Katie doesn't play.
Dosoviched.
They don't play
Katie
at all.
doesn't even mess with it.
I
No,
love
Katie,
that.
Yeah, because Katie's like, we're
love
gonna line up,
that.
kick you in the face. Like they don't.
I mean, there's
they
no
don't
way
worry about it.
Alito plays 7-on-7, right?
No, I'm pretty sure that they do.
Wow.
I think they do, and I think they're not half bad. A couple years ago, a guy like JoJo Earl playing 7-on-7, he'd be just a nightmare.
And that's not a bad thing. Like, I don't think that it's a bad thing.
No.
I'm not trying to say that 7-on is, because I do think that there's a place for it. But this idea that it's like some kind of, I don't know, like coming of age sport in general, I don't know. I don't know if I could go there.
Bob has left us. He's got to go meet Porter, so he should probably be wearing better socks, which I would imagine now that we've got the cameras out, we're going to be able to show off, I've got to stock up on my collection a little bit. You better do it too.
I'm going sports coat.
Go to deadsoxy.com. Are you really going to dress up for this thing?
Every time. Suit.
Just to the
No,
nines?
probably not.
We can get you.
We do need to talk dress code.
We can get you a suit sponsor.
I don't know if I want. I don't wear enough suits, but I wouldn't say no either.
You do wear Dead Soxy, though.
Every day.
DEAD.
Every day. Got 'em on right now.
Deadsoxy.com. Go check them out. They've got everything, and they've got the OU stuff, the Crimson college line that's out there. They got the Maker Bayfields. They got the state stuff. They got the Oklahoma stuff. Just go check it out. It's really good stuff. Deadsoxy.com. If you haven't checked this stuff out, you're really missing out, because it's fantastic socks. We told you the story last week about the producer for the Marty McGee show is a big U40 fan. The Michael from Dead Soxy had told us that, but lots of people starting to wear these things. They're famous people, so the brand is growing. We were there kind of at the very beginning, and we're proud to wear the socks. Deadsoxy.com, DEADSOXY. The no-shows, the boardrooms, the college colors. Go check it all out, and use that promo code SCOOP, and you'll get 30% off of your next order. So promo code SCOOP. I'm sorry, 25% off your next order with the promo code SCOOP. That's Deadsoxy, DEADSOXY.com. And as always, stay soxy.
Is there anything that has come out of Big Ten Media Days that has caught your attention? I thought it was really funny that
I will say yes.
I thought it was really funny that all of a sudden playoff expansion's like, well, now wait a second. Maybe we could revisit this 16-team thing, even though the Big Ten played a integral part in trying to burn it down the first time around. I know it was ACC, wasn't it? That was the main defactors of it.
They were the biggest problem, is what I.
It's just funny now that Fox is back in the limelight. It's like, oh, okay, now we can revisit it if everybody wants to come play.
Yeah. No, well, and I think the one thing I took that actually impressed me is the Big Ten commissioner coming out and basically saying, that just flew out of my head. Basically admitting college football, the business of college football has grown faster than the leadership or the governing of college football. Someone finally acknowledging that is an issue. And it's a bunch of programs running amok, whether that's what happened at Tennessee with the violations, or just leaving, whenever you want. Oklahoma, Texas breaking off, USC, UCLA. There's no one looking out for college football and what is good in college football. All the coaches right now being confused about NIL, not knowing what's going on. The transfer portal stuff was just madness. They're trying to fix that now. But in my lifetime, I have never seen more, not really lawlessness, but just more do whatever the hell you want thinking going on in the sport.
It's amazing that all of this is kind of the culmination of these grant of rights coming up and all these TV contracts coming up, isn't it?
It's the business.
It happens to be that everything is coinciding all at once and everybody's trying to position themselves.
And that coming from a guy who was getting death threats 2 years ago. Warren.
Yeah, how much has his star changed? Like his approval rating was shit 2 years ago, and now he's the second most powerful man in college football probably at the moment.
The problem was never him; it was the presidents.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Big Ten presidents, the guys that sit around and brag about their AAU status and their research grants and all that stuff.
And all he's thinking about is athletics. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I forgot who. I can't remember who tweeted it, but it was is it Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner?
Yeah.
Yes.
They had like his opening statement and Kevin Warren's opening statement, and like just side by side. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't it once believed that Jim Phillips was going to be the next Big Ten commissioner, and then obviously he didn't get it. Kevin Warren gets it, but they couldn't have been two more opposite statements as far as like. Kevin Warren leaned more to the side of we realize that this is becoming a business. We're going to still try to make money off of it. He doesn't say that, but it's more of we're willing to work with the players. We're willing to work with the unionization. We're working to work with NIL stuff. And then the other side of it was Jim Phillips, and is like it's still a student athlete model. It was more like the run of the mill, and it was just fascinating to see the two disparities between the two. They couldn't have been further from apart. But they also do the same exact job.
And there's a reason one's dying and one's the richest conference in the country.
Sure.
They've got to stop with this student. Stop it. Stop. It's over. It's been. We've all known better for 15 years, but now it's not. I don't even know what the leg you stand on with that argument is. What are we talking about here?
It's more okay now to probably say the quiet part out loud than it ever has been before. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there are positives.
It's the whole student athlete is amateur thing. It's over.
Sure.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, I think that we see it every day.
They're not amateurs. OU's punter got a car. And everybody is completely okay with it. Because, again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just one of those things where
going in and bargaining for the car.
Are there edits and stuff in that? I never watch them. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I thought, you do kind of, when you're videotaping yourself going into a dealership saying, here, I have this many Instagram followers and this is how many people on my YouTube channel, give me a car. It doesn't exactly come off I don't know, it comes off that well.
I mean, but I have to think all that was set up, right? I don't think he just surprised him, right?
No, I mean, he obviously had a camera set up and was filming, but he was filming them talking and kind of negotiating the deal and all that stuff.
Well, I'm sure that he came because this is my idea. I want to be able to execute it.
It's on his YouTube channel.
Sure,
so he's just trying to show people how he does stuff.
Oh yeah,
but to me, maybe this is what Carrie's getting at. To me, if you're going to go that angle, wouldn't you make it look like the dealer really wanted you? Not like I had to go in and sell myself.
Yeah. That's
wouldn't that make you look a little bigger? And I'm not, cool, man, got a car. You're doing better than me. That's fine. If you were going to plan it out that way, that's the way I would go at it.
I think Turk just understands he's got to be the influencer. He's got to be the marketer, marketing director. Mm-hmm. He's got to be the editor, whatever. I mean, I think what's cool about what he's doing is he's learning all these other different aspects of how to make money.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's Eddie's now very involved in how he's never asked me until the other day, how do we send out merch? And can you show me how to do it?
Yeah.
That's just a gateway of let's get this shit out.
No, it's I'm getting ready to release my shit. So.
Yeah, well, I need to make sure this is my attention.
There will be competition. We are sold out of a lot of the unofficial 40 t-shirts we released, but Eddie knows he's going to find out exactly how much of that we sold and then how much of his merch is. He's going to make it a competition.
Double it, folks. We're going to double it.
Just so he can say, I run this place.
We're going to double it. Double, maybe
See,
triple,
there
maybe
he is.
maybe quadruple.
I can't wait for people to see some of this stuff. Like I am ready for it. Do we have an ETA on that?
You'll appreciate this job. Oh, I thought he was going to throw that baseball at me there for a second. Eddie has a very cool, like, I'm not into like memorabilia, but he got a baseball from batting practice when he was in Omaha.
I stole it. Don't tell anybody.
I think I should have that baseball for paying for you to get.
That's
it.
why I left it here. It's the companies.
Is it the companies?
Yeah. It's just,
I can deal with it. You know how
I
long
want
it's been
sports
since-
equipment around this place.
I've got footballs.
Yeah, bring the footballs up.
I've got the Nike Vapor footballs.
We get a little
house.
putting green up here in the back hallway or something.
I told you guys I'd get an NBA Jam game up here.
I think it, or that, or a pop shot. We need a pop shot.
We could
a
fit
pop
the
shot
pop
would be
shot.
great.
Pop shot would be perfect. But they're so loud.
We need.
Yeah.
They are so loud.
I bet I could track down a Marucci bat for us. Maybe get something on
Yes.
it.
No, we do
Well,
not
use-
need people swinging
taking
bats
batting
at
practice
ball.
in
No,
here.
we don't need that in here.
Oh, use a Marucci school.
I'm
aren't they?
already uncomfortable with the baseball because there's so many TVs in here.
We're not throwing it. We're just fondling it.
No, like I would say, like frame it, like put it up on a wall somewhere. Like,
Well,
have
it's
it be, like-
it's a beat up ball, is what it is.
It's a batting practice.
It's a batting
ball.
practice
Yeah.
ball.
yeah,
It's kinda
that's
soft.
That's the perfect. I mean, it looks like it's been used.
But it was the first
Sorry,
time I've
game
had
used.
probably a baseball in my hand in 10 years, maybe. It was weird.
You've been to Omaha.
Have you guys
Been
put a
to Omaha
glove on in a long time? I haven't
No,
worn a
I
baseball
don't have
glove.
a baseball
That's
glove
a
anymore.
weird sensation. I
Yeah,
put one on not long ago. and
I
it
put
was
one on
funky.
not too long ago. I was in Omaha, actually. but I
I'd
put
go
one
out and
on.
have a catch with somebody if they wanted to.
One of your.
We'd have to break
illegitimates out
in
there.
we'd have to break in the glove. We could bring Traber in. That could be his first trip to Scoop headquarters. Come break in the commit.
I think, I'm not for sure, but like I think they break in gloves differently now. Like I don't think the
I
shaving
think that-
cream is a thing anymore.
I think you still can, though.
Yeah, you still can.
I mean, I think it's like seen as probably like the old-fashioned way to do it, but
Right.
you definitely still can.
But now they have like when you get it at the store, they take out this mallet and they have this thing they shape it on. It's like a saddler's thing or something.
I'm not going to act like I've bought a bunch of gloves, but I do think that like when you buy it now, they have somebody there that's like, do you want to pay extra? And they will break it
and
in
they
for
kinda
you.
shape it for
yeah,
you and break it,
they
like-
will do it for you.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Guys, I'm going olds here. That I'm not okay with that. Like you need to go home, have some rubber bands, have a baseball, have the oil. Like I mean, like you need to do that work yourself. Show the proper respect.
I think I might put together a tutorial on how to do the mouthpiece this year.
Oh, to put it in the water and boil
Yeah,
it?
that is one of my favorite. That was
God.
like one of my favorite things to do.
Oh, I hated
It's the
that.
only
They were
part
so
of football that I was
spongy.
actually like kind of good at.
I hated that.
And how
God,
it
I
like just
hated
kind
that
of
part.
stabilizes to your mouth. But I'm sure nowadays they do something completely
Oh
different.
yeah. Well, I mean, we were going when we were going to like remember when you go to like the Army game with the check-in, Josh, and like the mouthpiece people would be there, and I was like,
Yes.
wow, their entire company's devoted to just mouthpieces now. This is wild.
that always like Army check-in and really at any of the big events, that's always weird. Like the Gatorade people have their little booth that the guys got to stop by, and the Riddell people for the helmets, like they're doing their little show for the guys, and it's
Yeah.
just you're like, it's just so crazy all this stuff that gets thrown at these kids, and they're like, man, I just came to go play a game. Like I just wanted to be on TV. Like and they've got to do 3 hours of like presentations before they can just get.
They got to sign autographs until their hands fall off.
By the time they get to the media, they're like, thank God, something I'm used to. At least I know how to talk to the media. I've done this.
That's a good point. Like maybe that's what media day should be now. Is just like kids they go from like manufacturer to manufacturer that gives them free crap, and then they go in and sign a bunch of autographs that get sold for them.
I mean, honestly, it'd probably be better than what we do already. Hey, you know what I was thinking of? Are they not doing is Meet the Sooners Day completely dead?
I think so.
Is it just like that was a casualty of COVID?
Yeah, I believe.
As a
it'll
kid,
stay.
that was something that
Yeah.
I like. That was
God,
like
I love
circled
that
on the
day.
calendar. Look forward to
Yep.
it. As soon
Did
as
your
they
parents
announced
ever
it.
lend you out to anybody?
Well, no, but I was trafficked as a child. Yes. No, that was something that like you got to go to Jimmy's Egg the morning of, and then it was like a big deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or after, I
I-
guess, because it started at like 9 or 10, didn't it?
Oh, it was
yeah, I
always
remember
early.
my dad would take off from work so we could go that day and, get autographs. I've told JR before, getting JR Conrad's autograph is one of my all-time favorite things. Like, I thought JR Conrad was like the greatest offensive lineman in the history of OU football. Like, that's just right in my age group where I was really into it. And, again, from an early age, I knew who I was. I knew what I was going to be. Like, I like offensive line play, and JR was good, so I like JR.
I think I have a picture of him, and I have a picture of Gundy. I have a bunch of pictures. I have the picture of Gundy, but JR had like the big cowboy collar, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
That had been around the Aubrey Beavers time. I remember meeting Aubrey Beavers and being really excited about that one too. He's always a guy I liked a lot.
See, I was just not an autograph guy. So the first time I went to a media day was as media, and it was like it was late in the John Blake era, but it was like Damon Parker. I remember showing up and Damon Parker was just swallowed up by media, like interviewing him. And I was young, didn't know what I was doing, so I was like, I'm not going near that. That scares me. I don't even know.
That's like me now. I'm like, hell with that. That's a lot of people.
Well, it's like, as a catcher, you're trained to be scared of big groups of people because when you don't know this, but every time, like I watched Ole Miss win the national championship, the catcher always ends up on the bottom, the catcher and the pitcher. And it's scary down there, dude. Like, you can't breathe. Like, you think you're going to, you're trying to get people off of you.
I think that has become at my older age. It's like anytime that you see those dog piles, it's like somebody's getting hurt.
Yeah,
somebody's getting hurt. 100%.
I think you're right. The older you get, the more you look at that.
The more I wanted to be in it when I was younger, and nowadays it's like I wouldn't want to not be able to breathe for 5 minutes.
All I wanted to do growing up was be in a dog pile, and then I think I was in a couple of them, but I got one in high school, like when we won the regionals to go to state.
You could have been in one with Duncan this past year when they won state championship.
Thanks for bringing that up. Something we never did.
Well,
no, congratulations
just saying.
to them. No, it was awesome.
But you were saying they didn't deserve it because they didn't play a tough schedule?
Okay, stop. No, I didn't say that at all. I told that story about playing baseball in Ninnekah the other day.
Ninnekah.
So I don't think Ninnekah even has a baseball field anymore. Because I went to Google Earth to look at old stadiums one time when I was bored.
God honest truth, do they still have a high school, don't they? Ninnekah?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was one of those
right
schools
there
that
south
is
of Chickasha.
I didn't know if they had combined or whatever with
they could have
co-opt or whatever.
Well, like Amber
They do that here?
Pocasset and what's it? Jay and Grove are the same.
Jet and Nash.
Jet Nash.
I think they do.
Jet Nash is out there by Jay and Grove.
Yeah, up in Kansas border, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
I had
there.
a coach that was from Jet Nash.
Amber Pocasset, we played them a lot in baseball. It was always a run rule, easy victory. Anyway, so yeah, I don't even know how we got down this train.
That was a deep rabbit hole.
That was a very deep.
a deep rabbit hole.
I think it was your merch release. Yeah.
Oh,
somehow we got.
I don't know. I've just been
got
saying a
some
couple
things
weeks.
cooking.
Couple weeks.
Yeah. We've gotten pretty good at getting merch out now.
Yeah.
And just doing it.
No, I think I don't know, next week for one, and then middle of August for something else that I'm really excited about. So it should be pretty good. And then before you know it, we're gonna blink and it's gonna be December, and gonna be talking about why you should go to a college football playoff. I mean, that's the way this always works.
Well, I mean, look, this is an early season. It's OU traveling to Nebraska. That's the first thing and the only thing that most people should probably be concerned about. Can Brent Venables go to Nebraska and win? And I mean, he can.
Sure.
They'll be favored, but how they look in that game, to me, could be a springboard for a really good season.
100%. I think that I'm almost just kind of excited to see, I want to, and I know this sounds bad, the connotation of it sounds bad, but I want to see what happens when they get hit in the mouth a couple times. Because I think that last QB Dylan Gabriel is in that situation.
too.
Sure. Over the last 5 seasons, though, just as a whole, when the program has been hit in the face, it seems like it absorbed it rather than get up and kind of be pissed off about it. And just from what I think the players want you to believe and how they talk during the spring and then talk during the summer with working out with Schmitty and things like that, I think that, maybe there is a little bit of an identity change, but we're not going to know that until they kind of get into some
when
moments.
It's 4th and 1. I mean,
right.
Near the goal line.
Or what happens if Dylan Gabriel goes out and turns the ball over twice in Lincoln in the first quarter? What happens? Those are the interesting things that I want to be able to see, especially during the first part of the season.
I just want to see a receiver get behind a defense again.
Got to put Marvin Mims on the field. I think they're going to do that.
I still remember watching that NFL Combine and Michael Woods making some really crazy long catch and just thinking, God, it would have been nice to use him like that at OU.
That's right. The whole thing was weird. I mean, I think that we knew it was weird at the time, obviously, but it's almost like it gets weirder the further away you get from it. It was the most disappointing season in OU football history, or of my lifetime at least.
I can't
and
explain.
They won 11 games.
I mean, we're sitting here, who knows how many months. I don't give a shit. Like, it's been a while, and we've gone through a spring practice, but I mean, I'm not trying to implore people or telling you how to live your life, but, man, the people that are still getting upset about, like, I see people going after Gabe Eichert and stuff because he still follows Lincoln Riley. I still follow Lincoln Riley.
I would still follow him.
But he blocked you.
He blocked me. Exactly correct.
But I don't understand. Well, I do understand it, but there are people that are just as mad now as they were after it happened. And that's what I don't get. Like, at some point, you just have to move on a little bit. You don't have to completely forgive Lincoln Riley and say what he did doesn't still bother you. But to chase people down and, try and say whether they're a Lincoln Riley sympathizer or not, like, it's just stupid. I mean, I jokingly said Lincoln Riley built this place, and, like, I got a few people that are just, like, really pissed off at me for saying it.
I feel like if you, and this kind of goes back to what we talked about last week, and it's been talked about on Twitter, every day it seems like, but when I talk about Lincoln Riley, I almost do it ironically. Like, I don't think that, like, there's that anger there anymore that there used to be.
I still try not to say the name because I know for some people they don't even want to hear it.
Yeah, and that's even a little much. Like, people are going to have to just get over that at some point. Like, you're happier now. Be happy.
Well,
you're happier now.
Look, the support at the spring game shows that they can get over it and move on. They do need Brent Venables to be a successful head coach, though, to completely move on.
100%.
Because then you can say, well, we're better off. I mean, we've already determined that this was going to be a shit year with Lincoln. We didn't even mention Jaden Hazelwood left. Like,
yeah, I mean, it would have just been, it would have been borderline disaster just as far as what, I don't know about expectations going into this year, but I definitely think that there would have just been so much fallout from the disappointment that was last season. Like, the Alamo Bowl is a perfect example. That was a celebration. That was a celebration of Bob. That was a celebration of, like, the passing of the torch. Can you imagine if OU would have gone down there with Lincoln Riley? It would have been miserable for every person involved.
Yeah.
And that would have led into a spring that was somewhat miserable. Who knows what they would have done in the transfer portal. But I think that there is, like, a sense of,
it's been played perfectly since it happened.
Yeah, and that's why it's like that honeymoon period's been perfect.
Maybe hiring a little sooner, but, that's fine.
Sure, but I think even the hiring stuff, it ended up being okay. You got Todd Bates, you got Miguel Chavis.
Yeah.
So it's to the point now where, we're 8 days away from the start of fall camp technically, and you just got to go kind of do it now. Like, there's not a whole lot more you can say about it. I don't know about how you feel,
here's the thing. I think the team is completely moved on. Like, everybody that didn't like what happened is either left or embraced Brent Venables.
100%.
This is all fan stuff to me.
100%. I think, and guys, even if you talk about the guys who left, how many seemed like they wanted to be part of what Lincoln Riley was doing? 2? 3? I mean, and one of the three we could talk about spent last year talking shit about the old staff. Like, he and his entire family didn't seem to like what was happening at OU, and then somehow inexplicably followed it to Los Angeles.
Oh, we were talking about that the other day with Latrell McCutcheon.
Yeah, the other two, Mario and Caleb, okay, fine, they're on board. Everybody else, I don't think any. I mean, like Jaden Hazelwood, he was gone regardless of what happened. He was out the door. Like that was just coming. Marvin Mims was gonna leave. Like you think he's not happy about where things are? Like I mean, and guys, I don't know about you, but I've heard there was far more than that were like, this is all messed up. Like something's just terribly wrong.
I do think that there's also this element that we just probably didn't realize at the time. And I know that we've talked about this, but just like with what Marvin Mims said during that breakout session down in Arlington about how COVID was so messed up for him his freshman year, didn't get to spend time with around players. Like I think last year and the weirdness around that team and the weirdness around the way that the Riley thing ended for a lot of guys just kind of put a bad taste in their mouth. Like almost a taste of like, what am I doing playing college football right now? Like this doesn't even feel like I'm a part of something. And I think that Brent came in and from day one was like, not only are you a part, but you're going to help kind of almost reestablish, rebuild, refoundation this entire program. And, you know, I think that there's a sense of belonging and a sense of wanting to be there that you either had to be in or out or you wouldn't have survived the Schmitty stuff. Somebody mentioned it on the board the other day. It's like, you know, now that the summer program's over, I don't know. I guess in kind of a weird, awkward way, I'm a little bit surprised that nobody quit. I mean, is that a good thing for the program? Is like we've made it through a summer, and you know, granted, we'll say it's the end of summer, so I can say this, but they didn't have an arrest. They didn't have one single person get in trouble. And I was going back and I'm pulling stuff off of one of our servers right now for the video stuff, and I pulled up a 2012 Bob Stoops Tulsa Caravan. First question out of the gates from Chris Lincoln was talking about, you know, suspending players and because they had gotten in trouble. I can't remember exactly who it was at the time, but like those
probably like Camille Jackson.
Yeah, like but at the time, like you roll your eyes and it, you know, it is what it is. But I just feel like the program as a whole right now is in a much better spot. Does that mean that they're not going to go through any adversity? I would hope not. They need to go through adversity at some point during the middle of the season or the beginning of the season or even during this first month of preseason camp. But at the same time, I do think that it serves as a reason to be extremely optimistic. It's like, you know, why are OU fans optimistic was asked out in the interwebs. What a dumb fucking question. What a stupid question that is.
It's pretty simple for me. I just think everyone that looks at this from the outside.
I can't wait to get mad and just throw this baseball through one of these walls one day.
It won't always just be walls. So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Put that to.
I just thought about that.
Well, stop. No, I think the one thing that we know that like the national people don't know is like they see the fans online and all the emotion and stuff, and they think like this program is just in tatters.
Sure.
Whereas we've been out of practice, and in my opinion, as far as internally what's happened, is there are a bunch of guys in that locker room right now that are like, holy shit, Brent Venables is really impressive as a person and a coach. And these coaches, we've never been coached like this before. I mean, I'll look forward to talking to a player and kind of asking that question.
This past week, it's like people are almost like, oh my God, like they can do this. Maybe they're going to be okay. It's really just, I don't know. I'm just, the what?
The one about cereal?
No, the one talking about like, was it on ESPN.com? I think Dave, I forgot who wrote it.
It was about cereal.
Wilson. Was it about cereal?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well,
he has cereal in his office.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I had no idea what you're talking about. But it just, I don't know. The whole tone has just been like, I don't know why people are so surprised. It's kind of like what you're talking about on Twitter, which I think we're finally just accepting the fact that Twitter's not real. Like, there's nothing real about
I've said
Twitter.
that forever.
Right.
Well, social media is not real.
For sure. But at the same time, it's like you just keep going back to all these facts. And Josh, you were trying to lay it out earlier this week. It's like over the better part of 75 years, OU football has been very, very competitive. Like just because one guy, and I think that's kind of the tone that Bob took at the end of December and then on into January or the beginning of November and end of November, beginning of December when it was like the oh shit moment when Riley left. It was like this thing's bigger than one person, and it's going to continue to survive, for as long as the caretakers allow it to.
Yeah, and my thing, and I'll admit, when it happened with the SEC move upcoming, there was in the back of my mind, I was like, this could be a problem. This really could, and I'm not saying that I thought Oklahoma was going to become Nebraska, or I didn't feel that way. But man, when you talk to people, and guys, we talked about this a little bit during camp, Brent was just constantly late. He was constantly or he'd be talking and it would be a 10-minute conversation that turns into 30. You knew, and watching him move from player to player that they were trying to evaluate and he was trying to get eyes on at camp, he was constantly, you could tell, J.R. Sandlin's trying to get him to the next thing, trying to keep him moving. And so what's really interesting is when you talk to people, I keep hearing about the organization's so different. We know where we're supposed to be. We know what we're doing. Everything is just clockwork. We're doing this. And it's such a funny combination because I came out of camp and I was like, if there's anything that's going to go wrong here, it's, things feeling a little discombobulated. Because Brent, and I think I'd read a quote from Thad, maybe it was in Bob's story, where he was talking about how hard it is to keep Brent on time and to keep him, kind of on assignment because he does want to relate to people and talk to people and really make everybody feel like they're part of what's going on. And I was like, man, I don't know how that's going to work. But it's just interesting to talk to people where, I know one of the conversations I had with a recruiting person was, these guys, and I'm talking almost staff wide, they're going over hundreds of recruits. I can remember a time when I would send it, I'd find a guy I liked in Florida or Alabama, and I might send it along to somebody who's like, hey, take a look at this huddle tape, see what you think. And they'd be like, well, that guy, they're interested. And now the odds I find somebody that somebody on that staff isn't aware of and they don't already have some sort of programmed information on is almost nil. It's almost impossible. They are going over tons of stuff, and they're just an ever-growing list of, okay, evaluate, just guys they are going over. And I think, like I said, it kind of put that concern I had in June to bed. And like I said, looking back in December, I wasn't sure where this was going to go, but I don't know how you talk to people inside and don't feel really positive about the direction of things.
No doubt. I think that's kind of where this point is. The next step is everything that is going to happen on the field. And obviously that's going to be how Brent Venables and this entire staff is judged.
And I think this is going to be fun. I really do. It's going to be interesting seeing how Brent, like you said, how does Dylan Gabriel react to adversity? How does Brent react to adversity? I think I know, but it's going to be interesting watching it play out in front of us.
I think it's also kind of just interesting. Everybody's always we talk about, Brent obviously and his connection to the defense. We've talked about Jeff Lebby and his connection to the offense and his relationship and marriage kind of with Dylan Gabriel. But at the same time, defensively, with the questions that they have that will probably be answered here, shortly over the first couple months of the season, and specifically at safety with what they want to be able to do, it's been bad when the bottom line is, I just want to see these guys tackle. I want to see them fundamentally be sound in the game of football.
Did you think it was kind of interesting that Agwebu was a Butkus Award watch list person?
Honestly, no, because I feel like a lot of that stuff is put together with lists of people, kind of how they do the preseason polls and stuff, isn't it?
I know that a lot of times,
or is that just the sports information
director?
Sports
information they'll a lot of those people, the directors and things, will call sports information people, say, who should
give
we
us a couple
look
names?
At? Yeah,
sure.
So I do feel like the staff has said, this is our guy.
Sure. And there is just the depth at linebacker. I have to think that just from a numbers perspective, you could list off 4 or 5 guys right now. It's I could see them making plays. And I seriously include somebody like a TD Roof, who is just a football player. They need more of those guys down there, if nothing else.
Yeah. Well, that aren't walk-ons that are being coached poorly.
Sure.
Do we have to now take off the Brian Meade slander of the last few years?
I was never part of. I was part of the anti Brian Meade slander. Me and Eric Bailey.
Right. Yeah.
But I
don't think I slandered anyone. It just the slander was always there.
I slandered. I definitely slandered. And I apologize to Brian.
We'll strike that from
family.
the record in case this is brought up in court.
Yeah, there is no reason to hide what it was. Like that guy, great. I'm sure great kid. Worked his butt off. Like all that stuff. Great. Had no business on the field for Oklahoma. None.
Not with that coaching he was getting.
I don't like, and to me, like that's another one of the interesting things. Like people keep asking me, like, well, how many should OU sign in this class? There's a world where OU could sign 28, 29 quality players. Well, okay, what do they do then if they want to go into the portal? Okay, then you're pushing over 30, which okay, they've removed the caps, but if you do that, Brent's going to have to be more cutthroat than Dabo ever talked about being at Clemson. They're going to have to let some people go that aren't going to help them. And I don't know if I see that. Like, I don't think that's what Brent's preaching. So that's going to be really interesting to watch how that kind of manifests itself and how they choose to handle, the postseason, exit interviews.
What do you think the first thing that, like, in season, and I guess we'll have an entire month to talk about this during August, but it's like, what's the first in-season freak out amongst the fan base? Like allowing a touchdown on the opening drive?
Don't be getting into Josh's 20.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
You're
okay.
pissing in my Cheerios here a little bit, Eddie.
Okay. Well, hey, have you ever tried them?
But I mean, you know what it is. In that UTEP or K-State game, there'll be some point in the game where
K-State.
they give up a couple. I'm sorry, K-State, Kent State. Sorry,
Kent State was actually picked second in the MAC in their division.
Yeah, and UTEP's clearly a good team. So like, there's going to be a moment when they give up a couple of touchdowns they shouldn't have, and it's like, crap. Here it is. Like we thought we got the defense going, and we just don't. So
I thought that was the one thing that the biggest takeaway from Big 12 Media Days is Brent kind of tempering expectations a little bit. Like, not that I
almost kind of like in a side matter, almost like not really like, hey, work with us, but it was more of like a. There's a lot to work out here.
Yeah, like we know we're not where we're going to be. I mean, the whole talking about first getting, they weren't.
Sure.
Clemson's defense wasn't Clemson's defense when he first got
But
there.
I would also argue, too, though, and I think Oklahoma fans and even Brent would agree with you about this. It's like, when the OU-Nebraska thing is used as an example, it's like Nebraska fired a guy that had gone 9-3. Like, they're not firing anybody around here. It was somebody that left his family overnight because he'd been cheating on him. Like a scumbag. But that's neither here nor there. We're over it.
In the middle of the
season. Got to step away for a second. I am booked on a local radio show to not invite any arguments amongst parties here. I'm not going to mention what radio show I'm going on, but I forgot that I was booked here.
Are you going on a Billy Lucci radio show?
That would be sweet.
Yes.
That's my good friend, Barry. That's my good friend there, Billy Lucci.
All right, well, we can get out of here.
Bob just tweets out that Porter Moser confirms the transfer waiver of Grant Sherfield.
Look at that.
Very nice.
All right, well, just killing it.
We'll end it on that. I think we've got
that's fine.
We've got plenty to get to. Media Day coming up, so it should be a really good pod next week.
Yeah, Media Day is coming up, I believe, on Tuesday. So
I believe so. Yeah,
and then we'll roll into Wednesday, and then football starts Thursday.
All right. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Remember, go check out our great sponsors, Dead Soxy. Go to Dead Soxy and PrimeShrimp.com. Also, I am restocking Soonerscoopstore.com right now. Man, you guys are awesome. Just the biggest week we've ever had last week with sales. I know Eddie's over there saying, wait till mine comes out. I'm going to crush it.
Literally.
But no, go. We've still got some sizes. We'll have in more, larger sizes this time because that's apparent that we have. I mean, I can say I'm a biggin. We have some biggins out there that like the stuff. So we'll restock everything. We'll restock the hats. The black trucker hats and red trucker hats are out. Eddie, the trucker hats are out.
It's no comment. It's just shocking.
That big city life ain't treating you so well in the merch store.
Hey, everybody is equal. You know, everybody
we did
is
see
equal.
Jason Kersey yesterday. He dropped by the office. That was good to
He
see.
did.
He's
I
wearing
wonder how his
unofficial
test went
40
today.
hat. Yeah, we'll have to hit him up. I guess he won't know until he gets it back. So
They don't just put the Scantron through
it's
in law school
essays and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of hard to do it that way. No, but it was good seeing him in his new life as a lawyer in training. So, but no, Soonerscoopstore.com. Go check it out. And like I said, we'll be restocking those and keep an eye out for the Eddie Radosevich collection coming soon. So thank you to Josh. Thank you to Eddie. Thank you to Bob. Ryan is in the other room. I'm interested to go talk to him about how this all worked out on video, even though we'll be on YouTube soon. We're not going to be there yet. We're getting to the point where we're testing things.
Dress
It was
rehearsal.
a dress rehearsal. Yeah, we've got a little bit more to work on, but we're getting really close. So
That's right.
All that stuff is going to happen soon. So thank you for listening. We'll be back again next week with another edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast from Soonerscoop.com.